And welcome to Equal Hope, the podcast. I'm Dana Devine, host of Equal Hope, the podcast. Hey, thank you for taking time out today to join us. We're talking about health disparities in breast cancer survivorship and the benefits of community health workers in cancer screenings and detection. So we're going to jump right into it because the time goes fast. I want to introduce my guest. Jennie Flicky Hall. She's the interim CEO and program officer at Nourishing Hope. Let's welcome her to the show. Hey, Jennie.
Hey, Dana. So great to be
Oh,
here.
oh, thank you. I know there are lots of other things you could be doing right now, living your life, but thank you for taking time out because you're going to bless somebody real good with this information. And we'll just get started right in, jumping on in. Jennie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You kind of kicked it off with the job stuff, which is a big part of my life. But Chicagoan for about 20 years, and love exploring the city. Love getting to try different places in the city, restaurants, neighborhoods, and bars. And try to enjoy the Bears, but that's tricky. So mostly a Chicago Bears fan.
And
But
the
really,
Bulls.
just yes, and just trying to live my best life. Really, that's all that's going on.
And when you say you living your best life, because you are a breast cancer survivor.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm from Akron, Ohio.
Okay, Akron, Ohio.
Hmm.
Here 20 years in Chicago,
Hmm.
and a breast cancer survivor for how many years?
Since 2017.
2017, almost 10 years. So you got here and things changed once you got here, I see.
That's
So
right. That's right.
let's start at the beginning. When were you diagnosed?
So I was diagnosed in May, the spring of 2017. And
Mhm.
what had happened was I have no family history, nothing like that. And I bent over, and my husband saw a divot in my chest. And so he said, "Oh, I just noticed this." And it's interesting because my mom was a mammography tech for her entire career. And I just happened to have a visit home to see her around that time. And when she saw it, her face went white. She was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's not worry about this. I'm sure it's not a big deal." But I already knew, I could read it on her face, that it was likely cancer. I had excellent treatment, though. I got seen right away, and yeah, but I would never have guessed that I, at 33 years old, would have been diagnosed with breast cancer.
33. What stage were you diagnosed at?
Stage 1, triple positive.
Stage one, triple positive, which is probably better than triple negative.
Yeah,
Triple
yeah.
positive. Yeah. So you found it yourself. Had you been?
Hmm.
You hadn't even had a mammogram until that
Nope.
time, right?
Mm-mm. I know, and I
No
actually went
family.
no family history, and I think this is an interesting one too. At around this time, my husband and I were thinking about getting pregnant, and so I was going to go see a gynecologist to get kind of started with that. Again, this all just kind of happened around the same time, which I think in some ways was a blessing. And she went to do the breast exam, and she went right over the spot. And I said, "Wait, hold on a second. Can you just go back? I've been noticing something here. My husband noticed this divot." And she was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I feel something. It's probably nothing, but just to be safe, we'll have you get a mammogram." So it's pretty scary that it can be like that could have been detected there had I not seen it. Like, luckily, it was in a spot on my chest where I could see it, or could feel it. But that's pretty, that she almost missed that, or that she did miss it the first time, is pretty scary.
How much time was it between when your husband noticed it and you saw your mother?
It was like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Two
Yeah.
weeks. So you pretty much had to advocate or back her up and
Oh,
say,
100%.
right.
Hmm.
And so did you have to wring her arm? You didn't have to wring her arm for a mammogram. Apparently she felt it.
No, she felt it, but it still was like she was so not. I mean, of course, she was not concerned, but it's this idea that young women don't get breast cancer that often, which is just really not true. And so I think she just brushed it off, and that was my journey down the path to finding out what it was.
Hmm. And since your journey started,
Hmm.
wh- so let's see, 2017, 2000, so that's 8 years ago. You're done with all your treatments, and are you on tamoxifen?
Oh yeah, tamoxifen for 10 years. I did like chemo, the radiation. I had a couple surgeries, so the whole gamut of treatment during that time. The Herceptin, if you're triple positive, you do that for about a year. So all of those pieces, and yeah, all I am doing now is the tamoxifen and my regular check-ins with my doctors.
I missed it. Did you say you had a lumpectomy or mastectomy?
Lumpectomy, but I also had a something put in there, like a prosthesis to protect from the radiation, like that I wouldn't get my chest would look normal, and it kept breaking through. So I actually had to have another surgery to remove it. So that was unexpected, and just when you're going through stuff like that, something as small as you have to get another surgery to get this thing. I mean, every
Yeah.
every little extra thing just feels like too much.
So how many, during my treatment, I had quite a few extra things, I had to remove my implants on both sides like 3 times. It was a lot. But besides that, were there any other extra things that you feel like, that
I
were,
don't I don't think so. I just remember like just not expecting to deal with that. And then of course going through chemo is just everyone tells you it's terrible. Um, but it just really makes you so tired. And I would remember coming home after, because I worked during the time that I was going through treatment, or I tried to work as much as I could to get my mind off of everything. And I remember coming home one day and it was like I had to get a new Neulasta shot after my chemotherapy, and my husband would have to give it to me. And I would just like cry like a 3-year-old. I'd be like, I don't want to eat anything. I just like did not want. And he's like, I'm going to give you 2 crackers with jam, and you have to eat them, and then you can go to bed. But you have to eat. And then it was like, fine. But I just felt like even eating something felt like too much.
mm-hmm. And so did you lose your hair?
Oh yeah, yep. I wish I would have had more fun with wigs, though. I think I was too serious with the hair, and I like that was a missed opportunity, in my opinion. I will say, getting ready was such a breeze, though. That was always enjoyable. It's like I could get ready so fast. My skin was so smooth, because you lose all your hair everywhere, and that was not the worst part. It was just the hair in my head.
I definitely had the Susie on Monday, Mary on Tuesday, Kathy on Thursday. I had different wigs for like every day of the week. My children were traumatized when I would show up at school.
That's what I'm saying. I should have enjoyed that more. I really should have leaned into it more.
Yeah, well, hey, were there any other like major changes in your body that you recall? I remember my mouth got all dark and
Oh yeah. I had some of the stuff was random. Like I had a keloid that just went away. I was like, okay, I guess that was a positive thing. I had like neuropathy a little bit, things like that. And it's kind of weird that I was thinking about getting pregnant during this time, which I ended up not having children. But it was very strange because I have friends getting pregnant, and I was thinking about it, and I had like, even though cancer is obviously not getting pregnant, the amount of medical care that you get, the way your body changes for very different reasons. But there was something kind of strangely similar in some ways, right? That your body didn't feel like your own. Obviously, it wasn't for as positive as a reason as having a child, but it was just an interesting overlap.
Yeah, very interesting. So you are 8 years out. You sound good. You look good. Sounds like you have a great handle on life. Do you stress still?
Yeah, I wish that people are like, oh yeah, once you have cancer, you just then you don't stress, you don't sweat the small stuff. I don't think that's true for me. I haven't met anyone that's true for just yet. Maybe Dana, maybe that's you. I don't know, but that has not been the case. I will say the biggest lesson I've learned, there's many lessons, and someday I promise I'll write a book, but one of the lessons I learned was that when you feel joy, no matter what's going on in your life, you just have to lean into it and just celebrate it. Like I would just leave a doctor's appointment, and all of a sudden this like spark of joy would hit me. And it was like, I was really proud of what I had been through, like how I had gotten through it. And I would just lean into it and just feel it. And I think that's so important for folks to like not wait for things to be good, to be happy. If you feel that spark in you, if you feel that joy. And I would say too, like just even like mission, I call it mission statement living, but like being clear about what you want in life and your purpose. And then anything that doesn't fit with that, it's out. Like, we don't have time for that, right? So I think all of us, tomorrow, our lives could drastically change. Something could happen to us, we could die, but we survivors, that veil of like what could happen and how close death is, we see it quicker, and especially at a younger age like that. But all of us are there. It just seems more real to us. And I think there's something about when something really tragic happens to you, no matter what it is, you get to make a decision about the meaning of that in your life. So I like that I took the situation, and I'm telling you, it's not easy right after, but took that situation and thought, how do I want this to change me as a person? And that's the part I can control. I can't control the fact that I got diagnosed. I can't control the kind of cancer I had, or I had to have surgeries, but I can control what meaning I want to make of that. And I think that I've used it in a positive way. And for that, I am grateful. I would never want to go through it again, but I am very grateful that happened.
Okay, we'll say that first. No, I don't need to do it again.
No.
But you have been there,
I learned my
done that.
lessons. Yeah, I've learned all my lessons. I'm good. Don't send me back through that. I'm good now.
Absolutely. I get it. So you have definitely taken your lemons and turned them into lemonade, and you have channeled your energy very, very well. You've joined the board at Equal Hope.
Yes.
And I know that I just want to ask you, like, why did you become involved? What motivated you to join the board? A lot of times after a diagnosis, you kind of want to just live your life.
Yeah.
But you have chosen a different path. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. And I will say it wasn't right after. Like, I do think there is something to be said about when you go back to like normal. It's not, it doesn't feel normal. It feels very strange to kind of figure out your new identity.
New normal.
New normal. I had a really, a friend who was actually a friend of my husband's, and she had gotten breast cancer about 2 years ago. And, I reached out to her right away, like, hey, do you want to connect? If you have any questions, I, want to be as supportive as I can. And we got to know each other. She went through treatment. And then we were looking at October of 2023. And she said, I really want to do something, because we were kind of like, awareness, we know it's out there, but what's the action? What's the, like, how can we do something more than just raise awareness? We wanted to do something that was action oriented. And so we decided to throw a fundraiser, and she was like, I want to find a local agency that gives people, like, we had blessings and we had support in a way that others don't. And so what's another agency that provides for people who maybe don't have that, that same advocacy or support? And so she found Equal Hope. So that Equal Hope was our beneficiary for our little mini fundraiser that October. And then we did it again this past October. But Barb is the reason that I even heard about Equal Hope. And then once I heard about Equal Hope, that's like, I just wanted to get involved in as many ways as I could, because it was such an important mission. And I also, working in nonprofit, I also just think it's really important to serve on boards. And so it was a perfect match. I met Paris, and the rest is history, I guess. But yeah, that's how I got linked. I didn't even know Equal Hope existed, even going through treatment and everything. And so to hear about that incredible work that Equal Hope does, like, I just wanted to support it in any way I could.
I love it. Thank you so much. It's a team effort, that's for sure, because the message must move forward. So, like, leaders today, why do you think it's so important for leaders like yourself to really make the commitment and be directly involved in shaping the future of communities, or in your own community, through organizations like this or organizations that are similar to ours?
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, like your friend Barb or other leaders, what would you say?
Yeah, I think we all have a responsibility to our communities. And again, like, given that sense of, like, if you've received something, if you have a blessing, or you grew up in a certain area, or whatever it is, there was something that was given to you, and it's your job to give to others. And I believe strongly in that. And I think too, especially like when I think of like being a nonprofit worker and then being on a board, I think there's something, like, I'm there to support, Paris and the team, because I understand what it's like to be in a nonprofit agency, which is so different than a corporate agency. But I think we all owe our neighbors. I mean, we could go live in our little bubbles and try not to imagine that other people need us, but we're doing ourselves a service and our communities a service. I mean, it just really has ripple effects.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you believe is the board's most important role in terms of supporting this organization's mission and vision?
I'm going to say, and I know they're going to be so happy to hear this, but raising money. Raising money. But it's also, again, to be supportive and lift up the work that Equal Hope's doing as much as can, and to introduce people that don't know about Equal Hope to Equal Hope, people who may be able to give money, people who may be able to have some connections, or even just to tell the community about the services that they offer. But I think it's so important that the board is not just there to manage finances and make sure that everything's going smoothly, but they're there really to be a support to the team, the staff.
Yeah. So now your original fundraiser, which got you to Eco Hope, what was the fundraiser?
So we had I think it was like Take Back October or something. We were like, it was all like in black. We didn't do any pink. And Barb works at a brewery, so we had it at the brewery that she worked at. And
Fun.
I mean, it was a good way to get all our friends to come out. And then I think they also raffled off like a special tour of the brewery with the brewmaster. So that was a hot selling ticket. So we hope to keep doing it. We raise about a couple grand every year. So hopefully we'll keep growing it.
A little bit helps. And I just have to stop here and say that all of the money that we raise, especially for At Equal Hope, directly funds mammograms, cervical screenings, and primary care appointments. We don't pay administrative costs with money that we raise. Your money supports women or men even. Remember, men do get breast cancer as well. But the funds that Jennie and the board raise definitely support the community directly. I just have to pause and say that. So Jennie, what's coming up? What's new for you in the future? What lifestyle change have you made? What corner did you turn?
So I would say like I was working in for-profit when I got cancer, and that obviously made there was a real turn for me to go back to nonprofit work after going through that, because I wanted that feeling of closeness to mission and that purpose. So I'm continuing to engage in that. You know, I'm interim CEO. I continue to want to lead Nourishing Hope and take us in a positive direction going forward. One of the things that cancer also really changed for me, and I could talk about it all day long and people get bored of it, but weightlifting, like taking back your body in a sense, like it just, and there's something about weightlifting where, especially for women as we get older, it's so important to do that, to strength train. You feel so good. You feel so tough and like, yeah, bring it. You know, there's just nothing, that vibe or that high I get from it, I can't describe it, but it makes it feel like when I see my muscle tone change, it's like my body's starting to become mine again. And like I have some impact on it versus it feeling like it's out of control or that cancer took it over. So that's a big one is in terms of lifestyle change, is just being way more active.
Very interesting. I absolutely agree. My muscle tone is suffering and I am picking up weights. I'm not doing heavy weights though. I do like 5 to 8 pounds. So are you lifting iron or are you doing little light repetitions?
I still using dumbbells. I'm not into like, a full on press, but I think my heaviest ones right now are 25 pounds, but I'm hoping to add more to my collection though, as I get stronger.
Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're talking to Jennie Flicky Hull. She's the interim CEO and program officer at Nourishing Hope. And she is a survivor, a thriver, and a champion, and she's strong. And Jennie, we want to just thank you. She's a board member of Equal Hope. And I want to remind you, if you need a mammogram or a cervical screening or a primary care appointment, a free one, you can call Equal Hope and they'll support you. 312-942-3368. The number's on the screen. There's a Latina navigation team waiting to support you. For all of our Latina sisters, we got you. No more excuses. Early detection saves lives. Jennie, your story helped somebody. I know it did, because I really believe your testimony sometimes is the most important thing you'll ever tell anybody. And thank you for sharing yours here today. We wish you all the best and stay healthy and come back. And thanks for raising money and supporting Equal Hope and making a difference in our community. Have a good day.
You too, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you. SGU, meet us back here next month. We'll be back with Tracy Kincaid, Chicago actress, and we'll be talking about survivorship and breast cancer. Make sure you're there. Thanks for joining us.
An equal hope message from the ones you love.
If you're scared to get your mammogram done,